Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. And we are finally here, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at the Western Conference Finals, and you have your Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Dallas Stars. And it is going to be a fantastic series to watch. It is going to be amazing for all hockey fans around the world. And on this episode of Vegas Hockey Hub, we will be giving you a half-hour preview, breaking down the Vegas Golden Knights side, and then breaking down the Dallas Stars side. So before we get to your Vegas Golden Knights, and before we discuss how great your Vegas Golden Knights are, we're going to do a 20-second bumper real quick. So we'll be right back here on Vegas Hockey Hub. Do not go anywhere.
PR Connections Radio presents
And I will give a appreciation, by the way, to everyone on PR Connections Radio. Includes Guy Dawson, Dana, and all the fantastic shows that are on there. Definitely PR Connections Radio. Check them out. Now, Dallas Stars, a team that struggled a little bit late in the regular season, but they have rebounded and they have done very well getting into the Western Conference Finals. So let's give you a little bit of a brief rundown on how the Dallas Stars got here. Dallas Stars in the first round beat the Minnesota Wild in a very good back-and-forth series between Dallas and Minnesota. It was a grueling series, and the Dallas Stars ended up winning this series, beating the Minnesota North Stars, beat the Minnesota Wild to move on to the second round. And really my takeaway from that series was, a Hall of Fame goaltender and a average goaltender going up against arguably a top 3 goaltender in the NHL in Jake Oettinger. Jake Oettinger really was MVP of the series against Minnesota. And then second round, they take on the Seattle Kraken, a second-year expansion team, a team that was riding momentum and honestly was the funnest team to watch in this postseason. I was secretly rooting for Seattle to beat Dallas and come here and be in the Western Conference Finals, but let's forget all that. Now, the Dallas Stars, Seattle Kraken went to a grueling 7-game series. It was a lot of good back-and-forth matchups, but the Dallas Stars prevailed. They won in an impressive Game 7 matchup, and Joe Pavelski was the star of the second round. Joe Pavelski really put the team on his back against Seattle, and he put goals in the back of the net when it mattered the most for Dallas. So for the Dallas Stars, who are a few players you have to watch heading into this series? Well, obviously, I have to talk about their superstar, and that's Jason Robertson. So Jason Robertson, the American-born from Michigan, 23 years old. He was drafted in the 2017 NHL draft. Just signed a nice 4-year extension by Dallas Stars heading into this season. Now, Jason Robertson has become a star for Dallas, and his 46 goals, 109-point performance this year for Dallas definitely backs up that claim. He also had a plus 37 plus minus, and he had only 20 penalty minutes. But it's not what he did in the regular season that was so impressive. It's what he's done in the playoffs. Now, on paper, Jason Robertson only has 2 goals. So you might look at it and say, wow, he's only had 2 goals for a guy who's making $7 million. That doesn't sound like a lot. But then you realize he's had 10 assists, and he's averaging nearly a point per game in the playoffs. Also, when you use the eye test, which is vital for the NHL, Jason Robertson has been getting the puck to his other teammates, and they're the ones putting the puck in the back of the net. So he is very valuable to the Dallas Stars when you understand what his value brings, and that's the fact that he has been able to get the puck to Rupe Hines. He's been able to get the puck to Joe Pavelski. When Miro Heiskanen and Ryan Suter are open, they're the ones that are getting the puck to the open man as well. So Jason Roberson, the star of the Dallas Stars, he only had 12 points in 13 playoff games so far. And Roop Hines, 9 goals, 19 points in 13 games. I mean, you can make an argument that if the Dallas Stars go to the Stanley Cup final, he would be a vital part of that. Also want to keep in mind that Dallas Stars spent a lot of money this past offseason, and he got a good 8-year, $67 million extension by a team this past offseason. And him having back-to-back 70-point seasons, him scoring 37 goals last year and 37 goals this year, definitely backs up why he got that nice 8-year extension. But a lot of people are going to forget this is a guy who's played over 50 playoff games in his career, and he's racked up 18 playoff goals in his career. So he's a fantastic member of Dallas. And lastly, I mentioned him when it came to Seattle, but Joe Pavelski has become a valuable member of the Dallas Stars. I mean, he was here on a 2-year deal. He'll be here this year and next year. The veteran Joe Pavelski, 38 years old, been in the NHL for a decade and a half. But when he came to Dallas, a lot of people thought his career was going downhill. A lot of people assumed that his career was not going to be what it was. But in reality, he has become not only one of the best members in Dallas, you can make an argument he has been the best member of Dallas. In his 4 seasons playing for the Dallas Stars, he has had a 25-goal season in 2020, 27 goals in 2021, and 28 goals this season. So Joe Pavelski has scored more goals every single season as he's progressed here in Dallas. And his points in the playoffs is amazing. In 8 playoff games this season, Joe Pavelski's had 8 goals. So that's right. Joe Pavelski is averaging a goal per game in this playoff. And I also want to mention in 176 career playoff games, he has had 72 career goals. So in terms of longevity, in terms of consistency, Joe Pavelski has become a reliable veteran, a steady rock for the Dallas Stars. So that first line is going to be a line you have to watch if you're a Vegas Golden Knights fan. Roberson, Hines, and Pavelski, that's going to be a line that's going to be a factor against Vegas. Line 2, you're going to have Jamie Benn, who once again is a reliable veteran as well, someone who really has been a face of the Dallas Stars since they drafted him in 2007. Not as much in terms of production as he used to be, but 2 goals in 13 games. He can still get the puck in the back of the net if he has to. Wyatt Johnston, the 20-year-old that they drafted this past draft, he's been an interesting story for Dallas because this is a guy in his rookie campaign for Dallas who put up 24 goals in 82 games and has had 4 goals in this postseason. So for a 20-year-old in his rookie campaign, he has been phenomenal for Dallas. Watch out for Wyatt Johnston. And on that second line, they have a former Vegas Golden Knight in Evgeny Dadonov, who is a good veteran to have in the locker room. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights would know about this because he played for Vegas this past year. Evgeny Dadonov has had 4 goals and 13 points in this postseason. It's also coming off a season where for Dallas, he has ended up becoming a good member of the team. He had 4 goals, 18 points in 50 games. That -10, by the way, plus minus, that's a little bit questionable. But I will say for Evgeny Dadonov to go up against his former Vegas Golden Knights team, that's going to be a storyline to watch as well. Now, their bottom 6, outside of Max Domi and maybe Tyler Seguin, there really isn't many players that you can point out. Luke Lending is there really just to add a body on the bottom 6. Rudik Faska, 1 goal, 3 points. Really not much to talk about there. Mason Marchment, 6 points in 12 games. So that's about half a point per game. So I will say for the Dallas Stars, their bottom 6 is weaker than Vegas's, respectively. But that top 6 for Dallas is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And that top 6 is going to be what Dallas is going to rely on against Vegas. But you know what? That offense for Dallas, not the main storyline here. No. The main storyline for Dallas is defense. Defense. Because with the Dallas Stars, they have not just 2 good defensemen, not do they have just 4 good defensemen, but they have 6 solid defensemen out there in Dallas. They have 6 guys, one of them a former Golden Knight, by the way, who is going to help Dallas try to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. That top line, you have a guy who is a former top 10 pick, a guy who you could make an argument will be in the Hall of Fame by the end of his career, and that is 37-year-old defenseman Ryan Suter. Ryan Suter is here on Dallas on a 4-year deal that he signed not this offseason, but the offseason before. Keep in mind that the Ryan Suter, he's not the guy who scored 50 points for Minnesota back in the day, but what Ryan Suter is a guy who had 25 points at age 38 as a defenseman. This is a guy in Ryan Suter who has a career plus minus of plus 106. Yeah, talk about a guy who's good at defense. There's also the same Ryan Suter who has played over 1,360 games in the regular season and has had 108 playoff games in his career. He also has had 37 points in the playoffs for Ryan Suter. So not only has he been doing this for a long time, he has the longevity and the consistency that Dallas will need on that first line. And to team up with a future Hall of Famer, they have Miro Heiskanen, the superstar of the Dallas Stars, on defense. This guy, they took 3rd overall in 2017. They signed him to a long-term extension back in 2021. But what Miro Heiskanen has been able to do is every single year get better in the NHL. Now, this past season in 79 games, he had 11 goals, 62 assists, and 73 points with a plus 12 plus minus. Keep in mind, I just told you that he's a defenseman. So he just had 62 assists as a defenseman for Dallas. If that doesn't tell you how great he is at passing the puck around and getting to his teammates, I don't know what else is. I also have to point out that for a 23-year-old in Miro Heiskanen, 13 games in the playoffs, 9 assists already for Miro. Now, the second line of defense, you'll have Esa Lindell, the 28-year-old who they drafted almost a decade ago, has become a reliable part of Dallas. And the former Vegas Golden Knight turned Dallas Star, you have Colin Miller on the same line as Esa Lindell. And on the third line, you have Joel Hanley, and you have 21-year-old and former first-round pick Thomas Harley as on their defense. Thomas Harley this season had 10 goals, 34 points, and a plus 19 in 66 games. Now, Jake Ottinger, the 24-year-old, the first-round pick they had in 2017, he is the main story here. People are going to talk about Pete DeBoer, and that's fine, but Jake Ottinger is the real story for Dallas. Not only has he become the face of the Dallas Stars, but Jake Ottinger went from a guy who had, 38 games in 2019, 2020, and in his first postseason appearance, had a save percentage of near 100% in 2 playoff games. What do you do the next year in 2020, 2021? 29 games, a goals against average under 2.4, and a 91.1 save percentage. What else does he do that year? He goes to the World Championship and represents Team USA and helps them helps them win with a 1.4 goals against average. What happens the next year? 2021, 2022, he played in 48 games, had a 2.52 goals against average, and in the playoffs was near excellent. Last year in the postseason, Jake Ottinger went all 7 games, had a goals against average of 1.8, and had a 95.4 save percentage. If this guy sounds like he could have been a creative player from NHL 22, you're absolutely right. That's what he sounds like. That is what Jake Ottinger feels like when you're watching him play. He feels like a guy you created on EA Sports. He feels like a player you created on NHL 2K back in the day. But no, this is real life. Jake Ottinger is arguably a top 3 goalie in the NHL right now. His statistics and the eye test backs that up. So Vegas is going to have to go up against a guy who has done this every single night in Dallas. Just to give you another small sample size of how great Jake Ottinger has been, he played in 62 games this year, which, by the way, means that he only had time off for only less than 25% of the year. All right, he played 70 to 75% of the season for Dallas. He had a 2.4 goals against average and a save percentage around 92%. Considering he played 62 games, that is remarkable when you hear those statistics after playing 60 or more games. And the postseason, he has had 13 games, a goals against average of 2.7. And for the Dallas Stars, he has won when it matters the most, including that vital Game 7 against Seattle. Now, you might be asking, Ian Rakelli, this is Vegas Hockey Hub. Why are you telling us about Dallas? Why are you focusing so much on our opponent? Why are you focusing on Dallas? The reason why I'm focusing on your opponent is to give you all the details heading into this postseason. Because trust me, folks, if you're out here in Las Vegas, you already know about the Vegas Golden Knights. You already know about the talent here in Vegas. What you don't know is the talent they have in Dallas. So that's why the first 20 minutes of our Western Conference preview was going to talk about the Dallas Stars to keep you up to date about what Dallas has in terms of performance. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about your Vegas Golden Knights. Because the main storyline that the media is going to give out: Bruce Cassidy, Pete DeBoer. Bruce Cassidy, Pete DeBoer. That's going to be the main storyline you're going to be told about. You are going to be told about you have a former coach and you have a present coach. You have past versus current, just like they point out. DeBoer is the main story. Well, I always love to point out that, yes, you have Pete DeBoer and you have Bruce Cassidy. But really, you're going to have to focus on goaltending. Vegas Golden Knights, Adin Hill, in 3 games in the Western Conference second round, did exceptional against Edmonton. Adin Hill is a main reason why Vegas even clinched against Edmonton and advanced to the next round. But let's not mistake it. I'm not going to be a homer. I'm not going to show favoritism. I'm going to call it what it is. It doesn't matter if it was Adin Hill, Laurent Brossoit, Logan Thompson, even if it was Robin Lehner, or heck, if it was Marc-Andre Fleury. Let's call it what it is. The goaltending for Vegas is going to be a weakness heading into Dallas. The goaltending is going to be the one aspect Vegas is going to have to overcome to beat Dallas. Because regardless if you have Adin Hill here, all the way on the other side, you're going to have a top 3 goaltender in the NHL in Jake Ottinger on the opposite side. So in terms of goaltending, Aiden Hill is going to have to overperform and overachieve against Dallas to even match up with what Jake Ottinger has done the past 3 playoffs that he has been in. I also have to point out defensively, the Vegas Golden Knights have 2 solid defensive lines. All right, Alex Pietrangelo has been their best performing defenseman this postseason. Alec Martinez is a shot blocking defenseman. He gets the job done. Alec Martinez is the reason why they acquired him. His veteran mentality. Alec Martinez has won 2 Stanley Cups. Alex Pietrangelo has won a Stanley Cup. Hence, why they're on the same line together. Because you have 3 rings on one line. That second line of Braden McNabb, he has been a vital part of the Vegas Golden Knights. And, by the way, is my favorite player on the Vegas Golden Knights, but that's beside the point. Braden McNabb has become a rock, a cornerstone of the defense for Vegas for all 6 years he has been here. And then you have Shea Theodore, who has become the homegrown defensive star for Vegas. The main problem is that third line is a bit of a question mark. Because when Nick Hague and Zach Whitecloud are on top of it, when Hague and Whitecloud are at the top of their game, they are phenomenal. But when they make rookie mistakes, when they do sloppy turnovers, when they do not get back on defense quick enough, that's when you see problems start to emerge on that bottom line. So as long as all 3 lines can do what they need to do, your deep pairing one of Pietrangelo and Martinez, they're all about winning championships. The second defensive pairing of Theodore and McNabb is about consistency. It's about reliability. They've been there for 6 years. They know how to do it. But your last line, your last defensive pairing, that is going to be a question mark for Vegas to see if they can actually step up and actually do well for Vegas in this series. And then the forward lines for your Vegas Golden Knights, that's really going to tell you if they can win this series. Because offensively, Vegas is better than Dallas. Offensively, the Vegas Golden Knights have a huge advantage in this postseason because they have 4 lines and all of them could put it in the back of the net. And their top 9 is arguably the best top 9 out of the 4 remaining teams in this postseason. That first line of Ivan Barbashev has become a great trade deadline addition to the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, yes, he's going to be a rental, but if they win a Stanley Cup, do not be surprised if he was a main reason for it. 4 goals in 11 games in the postseason and a +7 for Ivan Barbashev. Acquired him from St. Louis at the trade deadline, has become a vital part of Vegas. Jack Eichel has been the playoff MVP for the Vegas Golden Knights. 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points in 11 postseason games. He's averaging more than a point per game in the postseason and is doing well defensively with a +7. And then Jonathan Marchessault had a quiet round 1 against Winnipeg and then had 5 goals against Edmonton and has had 10 points in 11 games and a +9 in the plus-minus. So your Vegas Golden Knights, that top line is a lot better than what Dallas has. The second line of Brett Howden, Chandler Stevenson, and Mark Stone, that is a second line that most teams would consider a first line. All right, Chandler Stevenson, who was the regular season MVP for your Vegas Golden Knights, he has 6 goals in 11 postseason games, and Mark Stone has 12 points in 11 postseason games. So you arguably have a strong top 6 for Vegas. That third line of Riley Smith, William Karlsson, and Michael Amadio, that's going to be an interesting case. Because when Riley Smith is on, when Riley Smith does what he did in year 1, having near 22 points in the postseason, we've seen him do it before. It's not like he can't. But that third line it's questionable at times. Because Riley Smith's had 2 goals in the postseason. Michael Amadios had 2 goals in the postseason. But when they score, man, oh man, those goals have been vital. When Michael Amadios scored that goal in overtime to beat Winnipeg, that was a very important goal for Vegas. When Riley Smith scored his first goal of the postseason, that was a goal to help them pull away against Edmonton. I also have to point out that William Karlsson, Wild Bill, on the third line on the top 9 for Vegas, he's had 5 goals in this postseason. If it wasn't for Chandler Stevenson and if it wasn't for Jack Eichel, William Karlsson would still be a top 6 forward for the Vegas Golden Knights. But right now, at this present moment, he is a bottom 6 forward, but that's not a bad thing. Now, the only question mark and the only thing I will give Vegas Golden Knights fans that you should be concerned about is your bottom line. All right, your fourth line, William Carrier, 0 goals, only 1 point in 7 games. This is a guy who scored over 10 goals in the regular season, had a career year, and yet has had only 1 point in the postseason. Keegan Kolazar has had only 1 goal in 11 games this postseason, but he's racked up over 60 penalty minutes. So there's that. And then Nick Waugh, the guy they gave a friendly contract extension to this past offseason, Nick Waugh, 4 points in 11 games. It's not bad, but for what they gave him in terms of a contract, it's a bit disappointing. I also have to mention, by the way, that you got Phil Kessel. All right, you got the hot dog, man. Phil Kessel, 2 points, 4 games. He was there in the first round. He similarly disappeared in round 2. So I don't know what they're going to do with Phil Kessel going forward, but you got to have Phil Kessel, the guy who is a multi-time Stanley Cup champion. You need to have Phil Kessel in the starting lineup. He adds a veteran presence, and he has that Stanley Cup mentality that certain guys do not have yet. You also have Teddy Bluger, Paul Cotter, who is very great for them, Pavel Dorofeev, and Brendan Bryson. Those are your healthy scratches for the Vegas Golden Knights. So now we're getting towards the end of our Western Conference Finals preview here on the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com. And I mean Vegas Hockey Hub on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. I will say, when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights and when it comes to the Dallas Stars, let me give my prediction for you. Let me give what I think's going to happen in this postseason. It's going to be a grueling 7-game series. Unlike the 5 games against Winnipeg, unlike the 6 games against Edmonton, this is going to be a back and forth, absolute brawl between Dallas and Vegas. You are going to see great defensive play from Dallas. You're going to see fantastic offensive play from Vegas. At the end, you're going to have to see what prevails more, offense or defense. What's going to matter more, depth or reliability? What is going to matter more? And my prediction here on Vegas Hockey Hub is that the Vegas Golden Knights, your Vegas Golden Knights, are going to win in 7 games at T-Mobile Arena, and they will move on to Stanley Cup Finals and take on the Florida Panthers in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. That's right. I have here on Vegas Hockey Hub, right here, right now, the Vegas Golden Knights, Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup Final. And it's going to be a fantastic one. So this Western Conference Finals, Dallas and Vegas, is going to be exciting. It's going to be entertaining. And Vegas Hockey Hub will be here all 7 games. We will be doing a preview show a half hour before each game, and we'll do a recap show a half hour after each game. So for tonight, you'll have at 5 p.m. our preview show, and then around either 8:30 or 9 o'clock, we will have our Game 1 recap here on Vegas Hockey Hub. So I'm your host, Ian Rickelli, and this was a fantastic episode of Vegas Hockey Hub. Go to PR Connections Radio, hit the subscribe button, and turn on all notifications. so you not miss any content.